Alright. Sitting. Alright. Blaine Ziglar here, sitting here with Christian Gray, and a good friend of mine, co-songwriter, works for me on the Life and Times album. Actually co-wrote the song Warren G, which is the first song on Life and Times, and then also the song Time, wrote the chorus in that. Anyway, we share the same affinity for the paranormal and also our so-called conspiracy theories, which I would kind of call more of a truth. It'd be
a truth that the masses don't necessarily see yet.
Or the masses don't want you. Well, yeah, the masses don't see, but the powers that be don't want you to see, basically. So, yeah. But,
as long as people keep being sheep, then they have a very bleak view of the world, I suppose.
Right. Well, there's so many distractions, you know. And, I mean, just think about entertainment. And now the news is just propaganda. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, the topic right now, talk about paranormal situations, you know. We both stay in haunted houses.
It's true.
Yes. Like, in our house, you know, in this place where we practice and everything, there are random knocks at the door, and nobody will be there. We'll see orbs flying around to and fro. We'll hear voices, you know, and some type of a weird happening. Like, I've noticed sometimes I'll hear the voice of someone who's about to be there, who hasn't been there yet, you know.
Same thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's something about this area. Like, okay, I was in the bedroom the other day, and I was waiting for our other bandmate, Joe Lancaster, to arrive, and then all of a sudden I heard what sounded like Joel, like, just open the door and say, "Whoa!" And I was like, okay, Joel's here. And I go look at the door, and it's locked. Closed, all that.
Is that not slightly characteristic of Joel? Does he normally enter that way?
No, he doesn't normally enter that way.
So.
But it sounded like his voice, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, that got me to thinking about something, but I'll continue.
I have nothing to continue with. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but no, I was thinking, you know, we were talking about before. We were talking about, you know, the, you know, however you want to term it, the veil being thin between worlds, let's say, or dimensions, or however you want to look at it. You know, like I said, I think there are many layers of. There are many dimensions, you know, like I started to wonder if ghosts, you know, or even ghosts, you know, like in a traditional sense, or, you know, maybe there are ghosts, but at the same time, you know, like I've heard some people in the paranormal field say, you know, like there's I can't even think what you call it. I'm getting tongue tied, but you know, there's like an interactive haunting, you know, where there is a spirit that can interact, and then you have these other I cannot think of what it's called, but you have these other hauntings that are just, you know, recreations of like a moment in time, like I think it's called, like the stone tape theory, and it got me to thinking. You know, I don't know if any of these theories necessarily hold true. You know, I mean, it makes sense. You know, like, for instance, you know, like quartz stores energy. That's why, you know, they have the crystals in the watches, and they use them, you know, in computers and things like that. But anyway, but no, it got me thinking, like, the stone tape theory. Like, I'm not particularly sure, you know, how this building sets, or like necessarily everything it's made out of. But like, it just got me to thinking, like you were talking about, like you hear voices of people you know coming in. You hear the door open. You hear keys jingle. You hear, you know, those types of things. But it got me to thinking, like, I've been thinking about it since last night, I guess. You know, when you came by and we talked about, you know, a little bit paranormal type things. Just like simple things, like, you know, they say, you know, there's stone tape theory where, you know, I'm sure most people watching heard of the stone tape theory, but the theory that, you know, whatever, wood, rock, water, things can absorb, you know, energy, and, you know, theoretically, like, you know, you hit the right time of year and everything's just right, well, it plays back whatever it recorded, you know.
Right.
And I got to thinking, well, in my house, almost all the voices you hear, almost all the sounds, you know, the oven coming on by itself, switches and all, and
that's
coming
scary,
off on
man.
itself. Yeah, that is one disturbing thing. Like, particular house really doesn't bother me except for the mimicking thing. You know, I've always heard that's not necessarily a good thing. You know,
well,
if you got something that mimics something else.
Well,
and
I would say that would typically be like demonic entities.
Thing,
trying to impersonate your loved ones.
Well, we did have that little run in with the with the demonic thing. That was fun.
Yeah,
that's like that girl screaming last time we were over here. You remember that, like in the middle of the night, but there was couldn't find a girl attached to the screen.
Yeah,
that's the second or third time I've heard that. But, you know, I got to thinking where most of what you hear in my house, like, it's gotten to be more active now. Like, you can see it, you know, like, you can see it in the living room, you can see it in the kitchen, and it's not always the same entity or whatever you want to call it. You know, I'm pretty sure there's at least 2, if not 3. But it got me to thinking, like, yeah, I'm going way out of the way to make a short connection, but
sometimes you have to.
But my kitchen and my bathroom is all done in this I don't know. I mean, usually I guess I don't know if it's slate or what exactly, but actual like slate tiles. And then in my bathroom, you know, there's, you know, of course on the floor, and then even the walls of the, you know, the shower of that slate, you know, stone. And it got me to thinking, like, you know, maybe. You know, I don't know for sure, but, you know, like, that would be at least another way to look at it. Like, maybe it's not necessarily something else mimicking people you know, or whatever. You know, if the stone tape theory is true, let's say, and ironically enough, we have the most activity in the bathroom and the kitchen, which are, you know, sort of connected, I guess, in a way. I mean, you know, very close by proximity, all. Made me think, you know, if the stone tape theory is true, well, that's a lot of stone all over the floor and the walls and whatever. So I wonder if, like, I've noticed, me and Beth have both noticed, like, when she gets, you know, angry or upset too, but especially me, like, if I get upset or angry, you start to hear knocking in the walls, and it's, you know, it's very distinct, like, sounds like somebody tapping in your walls, but it, you know, it's up in the corner, or it's, you know, but there's nothing attached to it, and it's not like you know, it's a mouse, you know, whatever. But, you know, and I have seen things jump off the table in front of me a couple times, and, you know, I never really believed in, you know, psychokinesis or telekinesis or whatever, and I'm not sure if I do, but I do know on a couple occasions I have seen something lift up off a table, hang in midair, and just kind of shoot across the room. But anyway, my point is, if we are capable of doing that in any form, you know, in any form, if we're expressing that level of that energy, let's say, well, if the stone tape theory has any validity, you know, as far as those things, you know, retaining energy or you know, or trauma or whatever. If, let's just say it wasn't the haunted house. Let's say it was me somehow, you know, picking up a tube of chapstick and throwing it across the room without touching it. Well, if I could exert that kind of energy, and the stone tape theory, you know, is true, well, then it stands to reason that all those slate tiles could be sort of absorbing some of our emotions and our energy.
Right.
Because, you know, where she's been having the seizures, and, you know, I got the spinal injury last year and stuff like that, it's been, you know, we've had a lot of stress. So, you know, it just stands to reason that if there is any validity to it, it could potentially be that. as opposed to something mimicking us. Maybe it's our own voices playing back, you know?
Well, there's more activity when there's stone or when there's water. Yeah.
We have a leak under our house, which doesn't sound like much, but I actually went under there this morning, and like a quarter of our house, we've got like an inch of water that just sort of sits there.
Is it under the kitchen?
It starts under the bathroom. It's from the tub, I believe it is. We've tried to fix the tub and tried to fix it. That's where I think it came from initially. But I mean, it's always wet in there and muddy most of the time. And I have seen, I've seen mud, and I know it's rained quite a bit. But even after I've seen it rain more heavy than this, and there's mud in the basement. But I've never seen an accumulation of water, like an inch, a couple inches deep, or whatever.
And that's what you're dealing with now.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I don't know. I know they say that about water. And you would think, if it's something that, stores energy or plays on the back, you would think that it would be like flowing water, like something to do with kinetics would have something to do. But, I mean, maybe, a horse is just a horse, Water's there. The stone is there. I mean, the house is framed in wood. I mean,
I wouldn't say a horse is ever just a horse. I mean,
just ask the Trojans.
I would say a horse is the composition of all of its cells, and when you get to the atomic aspects of it, I mean, you got millions, if not billions, of aspects working together, to hold this life form intact, and then you've got the genetic code, the genetic memory of it all, and then you've got the experiences of that horse, as it goes throughout life, that's getting maybe imprinted on its mind, that's influencing it. I mean, I don't know how much a horse can learn, but I mean, we're just saying a horse, just like it's anything, So I mean, water holds memory, and I mean, I say a lot of hauntings are probably related, probably has something to do with the stone tape situation, I would say anytime a traumatic, violent episode has happened, you have that real intense energy. It tends to play itself back. And I would say intense energy, whether it's positive or negative, because like as far as positive energy goes, like when my father and I recorded at Sun Studio, when we were playing our songs, it was like the energy of the building was working through me. I mean, it was this euphoric thing. And when I was in Nashville, I walked in the Grand Ole Opry, and I'm telling you, dude, it was like you could swim through that energy. Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yes,
I mean, I've never been there, but I've been
it.
places like that.
Right. And anytime that it's negative energy, it's very oppressive. And if it's positive energy, I would say it's just as real, but it gives you this euphoric feeling, It definitely affects us.
Yeah.
Yeah.